Hello everyone. Today I'm going to take a topic called forfeiture of shares. Before we get into the concept of forfeiture of shares, first let us try to understand what is a share is all about, and then we'll understand how the shares are being issued by a company and why does a share gets into forfeiture. Now let's understand what is a share. So shares Shares are nothing but basically it is a share capital of a company. Or in simple terms, we say that the company's capital is being divided into small units which we call them as shares. So shares are nothing but it is a small units of share capital. Usually company will issue shares in order to mobilize the required capital. So company will issue the shares through prospectus. So prospectus is nothing but it is an invitation which comprises of various inputs with respect to the shares, which includes the face value of a share and the type of shares and the way of collections and about the company. Everything it is mentioned in a crisp manner. So shares are nothing but a small units of a capital and the company will issue the shares through prospectus. And when the company issue the shares, they have an option whether the amount on the shares can be collected in one single shot, which we say it as lump sum, or they may also collect the amount of the shares, that is the face value of the shares, in breakdowns, which we call them as installments. So the only way in which the shares can be collected is either in lump sum or they may go for installments. Apart from these two, there is no other options. When the lump sum method is being applied, there is no scope for forfeiture. Okay, when the lump sum method is being applied, there is no forfeiture. Whereas when we follow the installment method, there exists forfeiture. Now you may be surprising what is this forfeiture is all about. Why in lump sum method there is no forfeiture? Why in installment method there is a forfeiture? Now let's go for the understanding. As I said, the value of shares. Okay, the share price is basically denoted by face value. And this face value will be collected in different intervals when we are going to adopt the second method, that is installment method. Okay, so how the face value will be collected, let's understand it. First one, as I said, let's consider installment method and let us consider lump sum method. So let us understand the face value of a share is marked as rupees 100. Now in installments, this 100 rupees will be divided in such a way that application cost, let us mark the application is rupees 30. The next comes allotment. So allotment value, let us mark it as 20 rupees. The next one comes the call money. Usually a company can make minimum of one call and a maximum of three calls. Beyond three calls, they cannot execute. So let's understand they have three calls. So first call, they are marking an amount of rupees 15. In the second call, again they are marking an amount of rupees 15. And now it comes to the third call, which we marked as third and final call. And in this, we are marking an amount of rupees 20. Now you can see application, allotment, first call, second call, third and final call. When you add all these values, you'll get rupees 100. So this is what we call it as an installment method. In lump sum, we will not have such split up. The entire amount, rupees 100, will be collected in one single shot. That is nothing but it will be marked as together with allotment. Sorry, together with application. Okay, the entire amount will be collected together with application. So when the payment is being made in one single shot, you will not have any backlog. As a result of that, in lump sum, there is no forfeiture. Whereas when it comes to installment method, obviously the applicant, whoever is going to apply for the shares of a company, would have made the payment on application. So never an applicant will have a backlog on application. So application cost everyone would have paid. There is a possibility where an applicant might not be in a position to pay either this allotment, or they may not be in a position to pay the first call or the second call or third or final call, or in some cases, worst to worst cases, they may not be in a position to pay any of these items. So there exists a situation called as calls in arrears. So we come to a concept called as calls in arrears. So calls in arrears is nothing but payment yet to be made. So when an applicant is unable to make a payment on a respective call, let it be any allotment or a first call or second or third and final call, then that leads to calls in arrears. And if the calls in arrears is still remaining as in arrears, then the management, that is particularly the board of director of a company, will exercise his powers to forfeit the shares, which is nothing but to cancel the shares, whatever has been allocated to that particular applicant for non-payment of call money. So when calls in arrears exist, then this calls in arrears will lead to the stage called forfeiture, which is nothing but cancellation of the shares. Okay, so forfeiture is nothing but cancellation of shares allocated to an applicant by the board, okay, company. So forfeiture is nothing but cancellation of the shares allocated to an applicant by the company. Now, as I said, who can exercise this forfeiture? Okay, the board of directors. So only the board of directors has got the authority, the powers to cancel the shares that has been allocated to an applicant. So I hope up to this you are clear with the concept. When you are following installment method, there is a chances for forfeiture, whereas when lump sum method is being applied, there is no scope for forfeiture. So forfeiture is nothing but when a payment on a respective share, either allotment or first call or second call or third or final call, or all the items whatever we said, if it has not been cleared by a particular applicant, then the board of directors of the company has got the authority to cancel those shares which has been allocated to the applicant. This action is what we call as forfeiture. And remember, the board of directors can't exercise this forfeiture just like that. They have to wait for a comfortable time period, that is, they have to wait for 14 days. Okay, so 14 days is a time period to exercise this forfeiture, which means from the date when the call has been made, and if the applicant has not given any response for the call, that is 14 days time period, then the company will go for the forfeiture. Let me give you an example. Suppose if a company is making a call on allotment on 1st of February, then from 1st February till 14th of February, the company will keep holding on it. And if suppose the applicant is not giving any response until 14th of February, then on 15th February, the management, that is the board of directors of the company, can forfeit those shares. This is what we see. So minimum, no, it's not minimum. Okay, the number of days, okay, they have to wait is 14 days. So board of directors can exercise the power, okay, okay, and they have to wait for 14 days time period. Now comes one information. We are making a allocation on application allotment first, second, and third and final call with some values. Here we have to be very careful that as per the SEBI guidelines, the face value out of the face value of rupees 100, the 25 percentage of the face value has to be allocated for application. So the SEBI guidelines says that application cost should be 25 percentage of the face value. So that is the reason on application I have marked it as 30 rupees, because 25 percentage if you calculate on 100, that is 25 rupees. So that's what it says. So at least 25 percentage of the face value. So we are taking 30 rupees. I hope up to this it is clear what is a share is all about, how a share can be issued, through what medium mode it can be issued, and how the payment on the shares can be collected, and the share price is being denoted through face value, and this face value is being collected in installment or lump sum. In installment, we will not have any, sorry, in installment we'll have the arrears. In lump sum, we won't be having any arrears. When arrear exists, then comes the concept of forfeiture, which will be exercised by the board of directors, and this takes place after 14 days from the call has been made. Now, what is a journal entry for forfeiture? Okay, usually forfeiture entries you have to be very careful, because a share can be issued initially either at par or at premium. Initially, a share can be issued at par or at premium. If suppose the shares has got forfeited which were being issued at par, then what is a journal? So if the shares were initially issued at par and that's getting forfeited, the entry will be as share capital account will be debited, followed by this we have to introduce an account called as forfeited share account or share forfeited account. So when forfeiture takes place, we need to introduce an account named as share forfeited or forfeited share account. Okay, so share capital account limited to forfeited share account, and then you have to mention the reason for forfeiture. And here you have to be very careful. If suppose the question insists us to open calls in arrears and calls in advance wherever applicable, or if it mentions past necessary journal entries, then because of the arrears only the shares are getting into forfeiture, you can mention here as two calls in arrears. If not, there is one more option to pass the same journal entry. Say, for example, the shares have been forfeited for non payment of allotment money. Then, in that case, our entry will be as share capital account is debited, followed by the to forfeited share account, followed by that to share allotment account. Now we need to fix up the values against each of these accounts. Let us take an example that a face value of rupees 10 and one particular applicant having 50 shares failed to pay allotment money. Now the breakdown of this face value is being given in such a way: application cost rupees 5, allotment rupees 3, and there is only one call, so which will be marked as first and final, the value of rupees 2. So how are we going to fix values? As you could see that the shares are getting forfeited for non-payment of allotment, which means company has passed this particular stage and they have come to this particular stage. So in this stage, there is a problem, and as a result of that, they are going for the forfeiture, and they are not getting into this particular category. So now the values will be fixed in such a way that against the share capital, number of shares getting forfeited, that is 50 shares, into the amount that has been called up. So called up money is nothing but 5 rupees on application has been called and 3 rupees on allotment has been called. That means out of 10 rupees, 8 rupees has been called. So 50 into 8. And against these share forfeited and share allotment, the amount will be allocated in such a way that for forfeited share account, 50 shares has been forfeited into the amount that has been received so far. So as you could see, the company would have got only the application cost on those 50 shares. Allotment money they have not received it. So whatever the amount they have received is 5 rupees. So it will be as 50 into 5. And against the share allotment, the value will be as 50 shares into what money is being not paid, the 3 rupees will be marked here. I think I am making sense to you, right? Okay. So next the values. Over here in the debit you will have 400 rupees, and on credit the value will be in such a way that over here 50 into 5, 250, and 50 into 3, 150. So which means when you club these two values, it becomes 400. So debit equals credit. Our entry is correct. Now let us take one more example where the shares have been issued at premium. Okay. So now with respect to this premium, there are two subdivisions. When the shares are initially issued at the premium, there are two conditions in forfeiture. One, premium not paid. The second case is premium paid. Let's see if premium is not paid. Example is the same example. Okay. Face value of the share rupees 10. A particular shareholder is holding 50 shares and he has not paid allotment money. Okay. And this particular shares have been issued at 2 rupees premium. Okay, at rupees 2 premium, which means the issue price will be 12 rupees. When you come to issue the price, it comes to 12 rupees. Now the breakdown of this is mentioned in such a way. On application, it is going to be as rupees 6, and then on your allotment, it is going to be as rupees 4 including premium. Remember, suppose if the question remains silent where the premium is, then always we'll consider the premium is on allotment. Okay, so when it is marked where the premium is, accordingly you will go with that particular entry. If in case the question remains silent where the premium amount is being added, then it is always on allotment. The next, the final call. There's first and final call. The balance amount of rupees 2. So now you can see 6 plus 4, 10 plus 2, 12. The breakup has come perfectly. And now we have to pass a journal. Remember, when the question is very clearly that the respective shares have been forfeited for non-payment of allotment, and if the shares have been issued at a premium, then definitely the premium amount on those shares might have not been received by the management, by the company. So the entry will be in such a way that share capital account is debited, leave a line to share forfeited account, and then the reason for forfeiture here allotment not paid. So to either you can mark here as share allotment money, share allotment account, or calls in arrears. It's up to you. Since allotment has not been paid completely, the premium also would have not been received. So we need to reverse the premium. So usually the forfeiture entry, the share capital has been reversed. You know very well that share capital will be usually credited, but when we forfeit the shares, share capital has to be debited. So reversal effect should be given. And followed by that, premium is also an item to be credited, but since it has not been received or not been paid by the applicant, we have to give a reversal effect to the premium. So the security premium account will get debited when it is not been paid off. So you will mark here as security premium account. Security premium account debited. Now let us fix the values for this particular entry. So you know very well it's a 50 shares which has got forfeited. So mark 50 over all these entries. You know very well even in this stage the company has made application and they are called allotment. They are not entered into the final stage. So number of shares forfeited into called up money. So 6 rupees plus 4 rupees, it comes to 10 rupees. But since it is a premium case, without considering premium, what was the original face value if you ask, check it up. It is 6 rupees over here and 2 rupees over here. So 6 plus 2, it is 8 rupees. So 8 will be marked here. And premium amount is 2 rupees. So 2 will be marked here. And in this values, number of shares forfeited is 50 and the amount that we have collected is only 6 rupees, which means application money has been received. So 50 into 6. Then the amount that is not being paid on allotment is 4 rupees. So 50 into 4. Now we are going to fix the values. So 50 into 8. So what will the value? It is 400. Next 50 into 2. It is a value of rupees 100. Next comes 50 into 6. It comes to 300. And 50 into 4, it comes to 200. So when you club these two debits, that will give you a total of rupees 500. And when you club these two values, it comes to 500. So your debit and credit matches. The entry is perfect. Now let us go for the last stage. That is the last concept, that is when premium amount is being paid off. Okay. When premium amount paid. Let us go for the example of same 50 shares. Okay. So face value 10 rupees and it has been issued at premium rupees 2 premium. So your issue price is rupees 12. And now we know very well that a shareholder having 50 shares failed to pay the first and final call. Okay, shareholder has failed to pay the first and final call. Now the breakup of that issue price comes in such a way: on application it is rupees 6 per share, and on allotment it is rupees 4 per share inclusive of premium, and then it is rupees 2 per share on first and final call. So these are the inputs we have. Now the entry to be passed for this forfeiture. So it will be as share capital account is debited, followed by this leave a line to share forfeited account, and followed by this you will write the reason for forfeiture. In this case it is the first and final call is not been paid. Okay, because you have seen that he has paid the allotment money. Okay, only thing in this case is not paid the first and final call. Okay, that's the reason for forfeiture. Rupees 12, okay, 50 shares. failed to pay first and final call. So the reason for forfeiture to first and final call account. Since the allotment has been paid, which means even premium have been paid. So in this case, if you see, company has called application and amount has been collected, allotment has been made, amount has been collected, and they have gone up to the last stage, that is first and final call, where the amount could not be collected. So in this case, on 50 shares, the company has called the entire face value of rupees 10. Again, I'm saying it, premium should not be included, that means should not be considered. So only 10 rupees is being called up. And here on those 50 shares, the amount that has been collected is 6 rupees and 4 rupees. That means totally 10 rupees has been collected, but there is a premium of 2 rupees. Ignore those 2 rupees from the total value what has been collected. So that means only rupees 8 has been collected. So 50 shares into 8, and over here it is going to be as 50 shares into amount that is not received. So first and final call value 2 rupees. Now set the values. So 50 into 10 will give you as 500 on debit, and comes to the credit 50 into 8, that gives you 400, and 50 into 200. So when you club these two credits, that is 500. So debit and credit matches. This will be the entry for the forfeiture of shares which has been done for when the premium has been paid off. So I hope you have understood the concept of forfeiture of shares and why a share is getting forfeited. And remember, the shares once gets forfeited will never remain in the situation of forfeiture alone. It will re-enter the next stage that's called as reissue of forfeited shares. So company might go for immediate reissue if required, or company can make the reissue of those forfeited shares as and when required. And remember, the shares which is undergoing reissue can be done either at par, premium, or at discount. So initial issue is only restricted with par and premium, whereas reissue of forfeited shares is not having any restrictions. It can be done either at par, premium, or at a discount. And then the shares which is being reissued can be done in such a way that a complete reissue, or it could also undergo a partial reissue. And once a company reissues the forfeited shares, whether partially or completely, the shares will definitely fetch some extra amount which we call them as a capital profit, that is capital reserve. But one thing to be kept in mind is the value of capital reserve can also be zero, provided if the company has provided the maximum discount on the reissue of those forfeited shares. Thank you.